Hello, everyone, and welcome to the season-ending podcast of Puck Pondering. I'm your host, NJ Devil. Joined with me is Roussel.
Uh,
Today, we're going to be looking at the highlights of the regular season, awards for players, and predictions for the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs. All right, so let's dive into it. Roussel, what do you
Alrighty.
think is the biggest highlight of this past season?
Uh, well, I guess coming from the Dallas Stars standpoint, winning that Central Division was very big for us because we haven't won anything in God knows how long, 10 years maybe. I know we haven't gotten a banner in 10 years, so I guess I would say that.
For me, the biggest highlight has to be a league-wide one, and I think that has to be the John Scott All-Star Game thing.
Hmm.
With any sport, with their All-Star Game, it's just an exhibition. There's no meaning to it. Well, some of them I know that you get money if your team wins and all that, so you play for something, but it's really just have fun. It's made for the fans, but nobody predicted that this NHL All-Star Game would make headlines in any shape or form. As any hockey fan would probably know, John Scott is not an elite player in any shape or form. His season high in goals, I think, is 3. He's an enforcer. That's what his job is. Lucky every year to, I guess, contract to contract. Well, this year the NHL allowed the bands to vote directly for the individual player they want to see be the captain of the Pacific, Metropolitan, Atlantic, and Central Division. I don't know how it started. I thought it was an funny thing, but people thought it'd be freakily hilarious if, hey, let's vote John Scott as the captain of the Pacific Division. And then it just caught fire from there. By the end, he did win. And you think that'd be the end of that? Like, oh, we'll just see a goofy All-Star game. But nope. The NHL
I
allegedly and probably made the Arizona Coyotes trade John Scott to the Montreal Canadiens for practically nothing, and this would ultimately send him down to the AHL to make him eligible for the All-Star game because the NHL did not want to have him ruin the reputation of the NHL All-Star game. Well, after a lot of backlash, he was put into the All-Star game as just NHL representative. He scored twice and he won the NHL MVP. It was just a great night. It was a great thing for him, and they might make a movie about it. So that's my highlight of the season.
Alrighty.
An honorable mention would be the Montreal Canadiens Twitter.
Yeah. And Yammer Yager just proven his age is just a number. That was a very big highlight this season.
Yeah, 25 goals for a 44-year-old. I didn't think he was. I didn't think like, oh, he's only getting like 7, and then he's going to retire next year. But I didn't think he'd get past 25, but he did.
So
What?
what else you want? You want to go into awards or
No,
playoffs?
no, there's still a few things left. What do you think? We're going to talk about the biggest surprise team, both positive and negative wise.
Ooh.
What do you think was the most surprising team positively in the Western Conference? Because you can make many cases for everyone.
Most surprising team. I wouldn't say Dallas just out of like pure biasness, but I would say probably Anaheim. The fact that they went from last place up to the first seed in their division, that's incredible.
Yeah,
And it wasn't just like, they lost a few games and they were in last place for a short amount of time. Like, in the first 30 games, they were absolute fucking shit. They weren't scoring anything. They weren't doing jack. And then once the All-Star game came around, or rather 2016, it was the biggest turnaround of the year, and they got 46 wins. So
yeah,
I
you
think
can make
that's
the
just
case as the
incredible.
biggest surprise negative at the beginning of the year, but now the biggest surprise positive. But I think Yeah, so I won't say anyone surprised me negatively else in the West. I kind of knew all like Edmonton, Calgary were not going to do good. Um,
I thought Calgary would do better, but their goalie situation had me a bit skeptical.
yeah, I didn't
Skeptical
think that
about
they
it.
would have a repeat season of just big third period goals and just all that. Biggest surprise in the East was probably
Florida.
no, I would say the Pittsburgh Penguins, to be honest.
Oh yeah, they kind of had something similar to Anaheim.
Like the Ducks, but not as bad. Every player was just underperforming. Friggin'
Kessel, Crosby.
Niemi and Lennon had more points than Crosby for a few good games. But
I think 7, something like that.
but since the firing of their old coach and the hiring of Sullivan, they've just been unstoppable. The
Mm.
Devils got him out. The biggest surprise fail wise, I still say the Blue Jackets they just never rebounded. Well, it's hard to rebound from an 0-8 start, but they even improving. They just seemed mediocre, even with the signing of Side and trading for Jones and all that.
I guess I would say maybe someone like Montreal, but what are you gonna do when fucking Carey Price gets hurt? It just shows you that he did carry his team. So
Exactly. You want to go into player awards
carried.
now?
If you want, or playoff predictions, either one.
We'll go to players first. Who do you think was the best defenseman of the year? And you can give honorable
Uh,
mentions.
let's see. Drew Doughty's always up there. So is Carlson.
Are you gonna go with a nowhere pick, like out of nowhere?
It's not Shane Ghost-Fair. I mean, he seemed like he was too offensive, I guess. So I'm not gonna go with him. And he's also a rookie. I can't really go with that. But this is tough because I'm thinking Eastern Conference, but then again, there aren't that very many good defensemen in the East anymore.
What are you talking
Um,
about? Ekblad, Andy Green, Eric Carlson,
I mean, that's just
Johnny
very
Boychuk,
few. But you look at the
Victor
West.
Hedman,
The West, they got
Falk.
They got T.J. Brody, they got Drew Doughty, they got Cam Fowler, they got Duncan Keith, they got Brent Seabrook, they got Ryan Suter, Roman
Tom.
Yossi, Shea Weber. They got all of these guys. Best defenseman, I guess I would go with Roman Yossi then. His name ain't really out there, but I'll go with him.
That's a good pick. When thinking about this, I really didn't want to pick the obvious of Carlson and Dowdy. Just for me,
Yeah.
just the best defenseman. I want someone who really just years before was known, but not really stepped up as much as maybe this year. So I gotta maybe go with Brent Burns. Just really stepped up off his offensive game, and he can play a pretty good defensive game. And I'd really excited to see what he does in the playoffs. He's no youngling at all, but I just feel like he's taking his game in a different way than he's used to. I don't know. I would
I
give it
can
to him.
agree.
Okay, best forward.
Best forward. I mean, if you want to talk about an offensive game, you're obviously going to go with Patrick Kane here. But if you want to talk about best overall game, I guess you could say Jamie Benn. Can fight, can defend, can hit hard, can score, snipe, do whatever you want. Toe drags. He's got the speed to do it, and I would say one of those two.
My honorable mentions are best forward. Man, You could say Patrick Kane. I guess he is one honorable mention because he did win the Art Ross, and you need to be pretty good and gets assists and goals to do that. That's why Ovechkin probably would never be big on that. This is a tough one. Like I want to say Jamie Benn, but you already said that.
Anze Kopitar?
I don't know.
Anze Kopitar made a turnaround.
Yeah, but so did a lot of forwards on the Ducks, and so did Sidney
Philip
Crosby.
Forsberg at a young age did very good.
I'd probably have to say Philip Forsberg. Just there's only you could usually a sophomore year is usually not great for people, but he's actually stepped it up. So I'd give it to him because yeah, and you can see the Capitals will ever regret trading him. Best goaltender.
I'm gonna go on a pure bias here and say Jonathan Quick or Ben Bishop.
Okay.
The stats basically show, they're top goalies in the league. I don't want to really say anyone like Elliott or Allen because, they're 1A, 1B type guys. So, yeah, I got to go with Quick or Bishop just for the amount of games that they've played and all that.
I'd maybe, and you can say whatever you want, but I'd probably give it to Braden Holtby. And you would just say, oh, he won all those games because he has like Kuznetsov and Williams and Oshie and Ovechkin, all the people. But his numbers are very impressive, and he just tied this amount of single-season wins in less games than Brodeur did. So I got to give it off to him. He's one of the few goalies that didn't have like a bad stretch throughout the whole season. So I give him the best goalie of the year. All right, playoff predictions.
Want to do anything else like rookie or?
Oh yeah, rookie. I completely forgot. Who do you think is
MVP?
rookie of the year?
Selk.
Sure, if you want. Sorry, I jumped the gun there. All right, best rookie.
Most bolded prediction I'm ever gonna make. Rookie of the year for me goes to Colton Pyarko of the St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
Outstanding defenseman. Better than Ghost Bear. Doesn't have the offensive numbers like Ghost Bear, but you would say like plus minus is irrelevant, but when it comes to defensemen, it's usually one of the more stats that you would want to have because you weren't out there for a goal against, so you played your position well. And I think Pyarko leads the rookies in plus minus.
Yeah, he does. Well, it's definitely not Panarin. That kid's not a rookie. I don't care what they say. Like, oh, he's less than 26.
He's younger than he's older than Tyler Seguin.
Exactly that, and he's played with Russian equivalent.
Kovalchuk.
Yeah, Kovalchuk and others for like 6 or so years. So, to me, you got to be less than 20, and you got to play in like the AHL or below. Like it's so. I have to maybe say, and this sounds biased and going against what you're saying, but I have to say Gostisbehere just for the fact the little amount of games he's played and the amount of clutch he came up for the Flyers really helped him get into the postseason.
Alrighty. Player who exemplifies perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication, the Masterton. Want to predict that?
I guess Zuccarello, just coming off like that bad injury during the playoffs last year and just having a pretty good season. I would give it to him. The guy couldn't speak for like 4 days.
I'm going to go on and say that my 3 picks would be Zuccarello, Jamie Benn, double I don't think it was double hip surgery. I think he had just one hip surgery, but on both of his hips. And then Jaromir Jagr for being 44 years old and just managing to score 25 goals with all these 20-year-old kids. Kids half of his age.
Yeah.
So I would give it to him. Coach of the year?
John Hines.
Lindy Ruff.
I picked John Hines because the Devils were predicted to be where the Blue Jackets are right now. If you've watched any of their games 2012 to now, they played a slow, sluggish, very unentertaining game. But John Hines coming in with pretty much the same players except like Palmieri and Stepniak. And he really sells the fast attacking and supportive mindset, and I really saw that this year. And even though they were 30th in scoring, they didn't make the playoffs, they made things very interesting. Had improvements all around, and I got to thank him for doing that.
Reason why I say Lindy Ruff is, the Stars weren't predicted to be first in their division. Hell, even in like probably lower than the top 16 even. Not even the second wild card for most people, but some people probably said, first or second wild card. But I think Lindy Ruff really contributed to the success here because he had a slight change in the roster, with Patrick Sharp and Matthias Janmark, Johnny Oduya, just like these few players that kind of like are a bit older, except Janmark. Janmark is like in his mid-20s or lower than that, and just somehow managing to become better than, like way better than what he was last year when hardly any change at all. So you gotta say Lindy Ruff there.
All right, is there any other awards?
GM of the year, and then the Selk Trophy. But we all know Patrice Bergeron's going to get the Selk Trophy anyways, so you don't need to say anything about that. So GM of the year, who do you think?
That's a toughie. Who made the bet? That is a really good question. I have to say maybe Jim Neal.
I'm going to have to go with the same thing, Jim Neal.
Bringing in Niemi, Sharp, Oduya, just bringing in Stanley Cup.
He brought in 2 veteran defensemen, 1 veteran forward, and then 1 veteran goaltender. He got our rookie, Matthias Janmark, and a few other guys. Traded Niemi for almost nothing. Traded for Steven Johns and Patrick Sharp for literally 2 players that just less than stellar. Who both of them got traded later on in the season. And I just think everything he did worked out perfectly. So, yeah, Jim Neal.
Well, yeah, we're Central Division champs, so nothing speaks louder than that. All right, let's get into playoffs. Who's the dark horse team?
Oh, San Jose. That's the dark horse.
I don't know if there would really be a dark horse for the East.
Flyers.
Yeah, if they can get under the Capitals' skin, and if they can beat them, they can beat anyone.
But I'm going to go ahead and say this is my first round playoff predictions. The Stars are going to beat the Wild in 6 or 5 games. The Blackhawks will beat the St. Louis Blues in 6. The Ducks will beat the Predators in 5. The Kings will beat the Sharks in 7. The Flyers will beat the Capitals in 6. The Panthers will beat the Islanders in 5. The Rangers will beat the Penguins in 7. And the Tampa Bay Lightning will beat the Detroit Red Wings in 7. As my first round.
I think the Stars beat the Wild in 6. I do think the Sharks and Kings will go to Game 7, where I think the Kings will win, especially you could see after 2 years ago. Ducks will be Nashville. I would say Game 6 for that one. They might give them a little bit. Predators might give them a little bit run for the money. I think the Blues and Hawks, that'll either be a sweep or it will be a Game 7. No in between.
Mm-hmm.
It's just no one's going to come out of that feeling good body-wise. It's going to be a grudge match, and I don't think either of the winners of those are going to win just because they're just going to try to hurt each other a lot. In the East, I think the Penguins will beat the Rangers in 7. I think the Panthers will beat the – did I just say Panthers and Penguins?
No.
Oh, okay. Panthers will beat the Islanders in 6. The Lightning will beat the Red Wings in 6. And
that's all of them, I think.
Flyers will beat the Caps in 7. Stanley Cup champion.
Okay, now I'm going to go to my second round.
Oh.
Dallas is probably most likely going to beat Chicago. And then LA is going to beat Anaheim in the second round. And then I'm going to go Florida is going to beat Tampa Bay. And then New York is going to beat Philadelphia. And then the conference finals will be LA beats Dallas, Florida beats New York, and then LA ends up being the Stanley Cup champion in 6 or 7 games.
I agree with yours, except mine. I had the Penguins over the Rangers, but I do think the Penguins will beat the Flyers. So everything else is the same. I actually think Dallas could beat LA, though.
They could, but, I mean, Jonathan Quick just kind of had our number this year.
And the toss-up between would be the Penguins or the Panthers. Whoever won the season series will win that. So I'm going to go Penguins.
In your Stanley Cup Finals predictions?
Oh, it would then be Stars Penguins.
The Stars, obviously.
Yep.
The Stars could beat the Penguins easily. The Stars could beat any Eastern team easily. That's on that side.
Yeah, the only team that really gave us shit was the Maple Leafs, and they're not in the playoffs.
True.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you all for listening. Hopefully you all hear this before any of this really takes place, and don't make fun of us if we get this completely wrong. We're just fans. We don't analyze.
Fuck you ahead of time.
Yep. And the Stars lose. The refs were...
Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, the refs were paid and or blind. So, good night, and see you.
LA's going to score 41 goals, win the Stanley Cup. The end. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.